and I'll turn that on. Councillor Yip requests approval to attend the meeting remotely. She's in Perth. What's your address up there, Councillor Yip?
Unit 1, 172 Salvado Road, Wembley.
Okay, can I have someone move that be approved, that she attends remotely? Councillor Giles, Councillor Plum, all in favour? That's carried unanimously. So you're part of the meeting. Councillor Yip, welcome along. Under announcements, councillors, you would have received a email from our media team advising of the City of Bunbury, or Bunbury Local Government sesquicentenary. I don't want to say that too often. 150 years this has been a local government, since the 21st of March 1871, so along with a few other local governments. So our history goes back as a local government 150 years as of last Sunday. Thank you. Councillor Steele is an apology for tonight. Declarations of interest. I have a declaration from Councillor Steck. It's an impartiality interest for 1012, the Ferguson Valley event. She's a former chair of the Ferguson Valley MPC, Marketing Promotions Committee.
And I also have the residents up the top of the empty. You see the shop down there.
Yep, thank you. Any further declarations of interest, councillors? Thank you. Can I have someone move confirmation of the last OCM minutes, please? Councillor Giles, Councillor Kozisek, all in favour? Councillor Yip, just yell out yes or no.
Yes.
Thank you. That's carried unanimously. We also have minutes of the annual meeting of electors. Can I have someone move that was at that meeting? Councillor McCleary, seconded Councillor Kozisek, all in favour?
Yes.
That's carried unanimously, thank you. And we have two advisory committees, Bunbury Events and Disability Access and Inclusion Committee. Can I have someone move 1 and 2? Councillor Hayward, Councillor Giles, seconded, all in favour?
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried unanimously. Are there any petitions, councillors? We have requests for two presentations tonight. Simon Burns wishes to speak against item 10.4, recommendation on item 10.4.3. Those who approve, please indicate.
Yes.
That's carried unanimously. And Cody Bates wishes to speak for item 10.4.2. Those who approve, please indicate.
Yes.
That's approved. So to those two, is Cody in the room? Okay, so when we get to your items, I'll invite you to come up and you speak for 5 minutes, and then we'll deal with the item. Okay, so coming out for further consideration, councillors, are item 10.1.2, 10.3.3, 10.4.2, 10.4.3, and that's all I have. Does anybody have any other item they wish to discuss in detail?
Mr Mayor, did you say that there's a speaker on item 10.41?
10.4.2, that should be.
They're both speaking on 10.4.2?
Yeah, 10.4.2.
Yep, no problem, thank you.
Anyone else? Can I have someone move the balance, please? Councillor Brown, Councillor Hayward, all in favour?
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried unanimously, thank you. So we go to 10.1.2. I know there's two elected members wish to move amendments to this, so can I first of all have a move of the committee recommendation?
I'll make the recommendation, Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Kozisek has beat you to it. Councillor Yip? Do you wish to second it?
Yes.
Second. Councillor Kozisek?
Good evening, everybody. I just want to speak to 10.1.2, the grant funding program reallocation of the seed funding project to an iconic event project and consideration of a proposal for an iconic event. I know there's been a lot of talk about this particular event, the fact that it is listed as a Bunbury-Ferguson Valley event, and is Bunbury going to get the benefit from it? And I really think that we have the opportunity now. Since COVID, we've seen a change in the way people are moving around our state and are getting involved in local events and local activities. We have a perfect time to showcase the Southwest in many ways, and this particular event, I think, is the perfect opportunity to do so. We have a captive market. International tourism is not going to be around, I think, for a little while, so perfect time to showcase both Bunbury and the Ferguson Valley. And while we don't want to play second fiddle to Bali and the likes, I think we have to realise that a lot of our income in the past has gone overseas. So now's our time to promote our state, promote Southwest. I think if you think about the fact that this event is labelled Bunbury-Ferguson Valley, and I know a lot of the events during the day are going to be Ferguson Valley, but we have the prime opportunity, and I know there are lots of lists for Bunbury nightlife, so we have lots of accommodation in Bunbury, we have lots of events that will be focused on Bunbury in restaurants, in hospitality. For instance, the little wine bar tour that went on a few months ago, which was extremely successful. So there's a lot of events that will actually piggyback off this whole Ferguson Valley thing. I think that it's an ideal time to promote our area. They talk about the potential of an extra $650,000 coming to the area in the first year. And if this event does carry on, it's just going to grow. I don't know who went to the Beer Insider Fest on Saturday. I didn't, but I saw the queues lined up there. Another really, really successful event in Bunbury. The Multicultural Festival, another successful event in Bunbury. We've proven that we do events well, and I think that we have the opportunity to help this Ferguson Valley event get up and running. I shouldn't keep calling it Ferguson Valley, Bunbury-Ferguson Valley event. Bunbury is set to benefit from this from many ways. As I said, hotel accommodation, the restaurants and all the hospitality industries, I think, will do really, really well. And I do understand that there are lots of Airbnb places in that area, but I firmly believe that if they are booked out, it's that old saying that a rising river takes everybody with them. If everybody's booked out accommodation-wise, I think that works for all of us. So a perfect opportunity to do that. That's probably all I've got to say. Although, actually, no, there's one more thing. I know there was a reference to the figures that there was $50,000 quoted in wages to get this event off the ground. And I'd just like to make it clear that that was not all wages. That was for the event management team, it was for stakeholder management, it was for venue suppliers, it was for industry partnerships, public relations, social media management, ticketing, communications and logistics. Now, $50,000 for somebody to give up 6 months of their time to run an event, I think is actually pretty good. We no longer can rely on volunteers to run these fantastic events. It just can't be done. They're major events. They need people that do this stuff all the time and are professional at it. And look, I just urge you to support this proposal. Thank you.
Councillor Yip, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Sorry if I repeat myself. The line's not very clear. I couldn't really hear Cheryl that well. Is it okay if I go ahead and just make some points?
Please.
Okay. I understand there might have been a bit of misunderstanding around the nature of the proposed event, and that daytime events are scheduled to be in the Ferguson Valley amongst the vineyards and small producers. Then at night, Bunbury takes over as the evening event destination, which is where most people would be staying as well, which I think Cheryl has touched on. So with that in mind, we've been looking for an event which is truly unique to the city, repurposing the seed funding into the development of that event to have a chance to explore this. As we found in the Events Advisory Committee, through many discussions and workshops, this is no easy task, especially with the onset of COVID and the massive changes to the event landscape. However, with greater resources, we can move closer to an event that suits us. One of these is with Ahoy Event Management, who started cabin fever in Margaret River during the winter, which is an off period for them, and they have taken it to spectacular heights. So I think it's a really good opportunity for them to come in under this umbrella event model and upskill local cafes and restaurants to develop their own unique events with marketing and event development support, which is what people flock to Margaret River for. So I think it's a really good opportunity to do that. I think we should put money into this event, whatever that amount is. We have passed, endorsed many things in our chambers in the last 18 months to promote regional partnerships, and this is one that I think we should put our money where our mouth is. So I think we should explore how to make that happen. This may not be the event, but I think it needs some resources to find out if it is. Thank you.
Speaker against? Councillor Plum?
Thank you. I don't wish to speak against it, but I do wish to move an amendment to point 3, if I may.
Sure.
I'd just like to amend that to read, approve the allocation of a dollar-for-dollar contribution in partnership with the Shire of Dardanup up to $20,000.
So, dollar contribution in partnership with the Shire of Dardanup.
Yeah.
Just after contribution there, Liam. In partnership with the Shire of Dardanup,
Yes.
up to maximum of $20,000. Is there a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Turner. Councillor Plum.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think it's fairly reasonable. I welcome the $30,000 contribution from the state government through the Australia Southwest organisation, and obviously that is a state government funding, so it's covering the whole region, of which both shires are a part. But I think being that we're partners with the Shire of Dardanup, it's only reasonable, in my opinion or view, and certainly many others, that the financial contribution reflect that. And I don't know of any other situations where an event hosted in a shire would request 3 times the amount that they are willing to contribute from a neighbouring shire or any funding group. So I think it's only reasonable to contribute dollar for dollar in the partnership that we're in with this event.
Councillor Turner, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I also agree with Chris.
Councillor, should we just get the titles? It's Councillor Plum and Councillor Yip, it's Councillor Kozisek, so I'm
Thank
being
you, Mayor.
pedantic, but there you go.
Agree with Councillor Plum. Dardanup's only putting in $10,000, yet they expect us to put in $30,000. If we had an iconic event, would we put in 10 and ask another shire to put in $30,000? It's just unreasonable. I certainly hope that the nighttime events do come to Bunbury, or it's not going to be very beneficial at all. In saying that, I'd please pass the amendment that Councillor Plum has put forward.
Speaker against the amendment, Councillor Giles.
I don't exactly want to speak against, but I'd like to amend that to up to $30,000 as that's what we have available.
Well, Councillor Plum's suggesting up to a maximum of 20,000. We'll deal with this amendment separately, and we'll come back to that. Councillor McCreary, you wish to speak against? Yes.
I believe that this $10,000 or even $30,000 or $100,000, I believe that the seed funding for this is a disadvantaging our community. This is not an icon event they're going to be setting up. This is an exclusive event, okay? It's exclusive for people in that area. Our lower income families around here will not. Our lower income families around our area, in the Bunbury area, will not be able to afford to go out there. They won't be able to afford the type of event that they're going to be putting on there. So it's better to keep the money that we have in our pockets for our community, for our iconic events or other community events that we have here, so people can walk to those events and enjoy them, our Bunbury community, not having to go right out to Brunswick or Dunsborough or wherever else that we've decided to contribute money to their iconic event. This is an exclusive event, and I don't believe that we would be well spent in our money. Thank you.
Speaker for the amendment, Councillor Giles.
Mr Mayor, I'll speak for this because I do think that this event will benefit Bunbury. Having looked at what this company has done in other places, I think it definitely will have many events in Bunbury, and I think we will benefit from that. I do agree that we should put in the same amount as Dardanup, or up to the same amount as Dardanup, because I think that's a fair thing to do. But I think we haven't had an iconic event that has put up their hand for this money for a long time, as I understand it. So this is our opportunity, as Councillor Kozisek said, when we don't have people travelling overseas to attract people here for this event. So I'm all for having this event here, and I'm sure that there will be many, many events in Bunbury, and it will attract people here to stay, to eat, to drink, and just have a look at our beautiful city. Thank you.
Speaker against the amendment, Councillor Stick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and whilst I welcome all the comments from the councillors, and particularly Councillor Plum, in relation to dollar for dollar funding, and I think that could possibly be a good concept for the future. What I have a problem with is that we went down the process of having a consultant come to Bunbury. We put up an iconic event. We went to the state government. We asked you, Mr Mayor, and our CEO to go there and ask for funding. And we, to this point, haven't received funding for the event that we put together, and that was a 4 or 5 day event, which is somehow now just vanished. And I don't believe that people would all stay in the Valley or Bunbury. It's an easy drive from Busselton. It's an easy drive from everywhere else. And in fact, because I do know a lot about the Valley as the former chair there, I can tell you that a lot of this just came straight from the textbook of the financial plan. Not only that, the biggest event that goes on there every week is cycling, mountain bike cycling, every week. There's loads and loads of people, and even cycling with people on roads, just every week they're there. And other people in the Valley, they're operating the businesses as a hobby almost. Not all of them are open all the time, and some of them are even winding their businesses down. The other point that I would make, though, is they are very all-learned people, and they do put a lot of things together, like wedding specialties and functions. They put symphonies and orchestras together on sunsets and things. And in particular, I shouldn't name businesses, but there are quite a few that do that already. They're savvy business people, the ones who are trading for that kind of business. So, and I also believe, just chatting to a couple of councillors previously, we have a Stedford that we haven't been funding very well for a few years now. And we do have the opportunity to grow our own events, and we do fund through tourism and Geograph Tourism. I think the latest figure was at $90,000 that we contribute. So we are a regional competitor. We are doing our heavy lifting for the region, sir, and I just really think that we should be focused on our event that we first started with. But by all means, if the Shire of Dardanup comes to us and says, well, look, we would like some funding, well, then we'll look at that like we do with everything else.
Speaker for the amendment, Councillor Plum. Oh, sorry, did you wish to speak for the amendment?
I really want to ask a question, if
Go
I may,
ahead.
Mr Mayor. I've just been listening to the debate. I've just a problem with an iconic event. Couldn't we put the word another iconic event in there somewhere? Because we've got lots of iconic events.
I'll deal with this amendment first, Councillor Smith. So I think Councillor Plum, you're closing.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to clarify, the reasoning behind reducing it to $20,000 means you're only requesting Shire of Dardanup to increase their contribution by $10,000, which I think is reasonable, and the balance for the budget for the event will balance equally and continue. And I fully support the event. I think it's a great event, and I think it will benefit Bunbury and Ferguson Valley. As per the item 10.1.1, we would then have a $20,000 buffer for any other iconic events in the future for Bunbury, read that allocation. So I welcome the support, and hopefully we can get the event ahead.
Okay, I'll put the amendment. All in favour, please indicate.
Yes.
Councillor, those against? One against, that's carried. So Councillor Steck is against, the rest were for. Councillor Smith, did you wish to move an amendment?
Not really, Mr Mayor. I think
Okay.
I was being facetious. I just wanted to make the point. Thank you.
Now we come back to the motion as moved by Councillor Kozisek, seconded by Councillor Yip. Are there any speakers against the now amended motion? Do you wish to close, Councillor Kozisek? All right. I'll put it all in favour, please indicate.
Yes.
Those against? 4 against, that's carried. The councillors against were Councillors Smith, Turner, McCleary and Steck, the rest were 4. So it's carried by an absolute majority. Thank you, councillors. Are you hearing the debate okay now, Councillor Yip?
No, I'm not. Am I allowed to leave?
No. You can leave, but I'll say you're gone. We now move to 10.3.3, which requires an absolute majority. Can I have someone move the recommendation, please?
I can't hear the councillor speaking at all.
Councillor McCleary moves. Is there a seconder? Councillor Miguel. Is there likely to be any debate, councillors? I'll put it all in favour, please indicate. Councillor Yip.
Sorry, just reconnect. So you might have to just read that again.
Yeah, Councillor Yip, I'm now taking a vote on 10.3.3. Are you in favour or against?
Yes.
Yeah, that's carried by absolute majority and unanimously. Thank you. Now we move to 10.4.2. Cody Bates, welcome to you. So you have 5 minutes, Cody. There's a clock in front of me here which will assist you. Off you go.
I don't have a whole lot to say about my proposal. The only thing I'd like to emphasise is I've adhered to all the rules and regulations and changed my plans 3 times to suit council needs. I've also tried to coincide with the next door neighbour with their shade issue on their property, and I've reduced the shed height a couple of times to adjust for their needs. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you. Take a seat. Someone prepared to move the recommendation. Councillor McCleary, seconder. Councillor Giles, any debate? I'll put it all in favour.
Yes.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We move on to 10.4.3. Mr Burns, welcome to you. Same 5 minutes. Can you hear the submissions, Councillor Yip?
No.
I'll get you.
Okay, my name's Simon Burns. I'm part owner of the Lighthouse Hotel, which probably you're all aware of. I'm speaking to oppose the road closure of Carey Street, which is before you now. As background, I purchased the Lighthouse Hotel in 2012 with Brian Benari, my cousin, for $9.5 million. And since 2012 till 2021, we have invested $8 million in the lighthouse. That's all our personal savings. We've never taken a cent from Bunbury. We've put all our money into Bunbury, and we've continued to develop the building. And I think people have probably seen it. They have seen that we have continued to develop. We wish to continue to develop. We continue to expand and add more rooms and more food and beverage options. And we have had discussions with the council about this in the past. It came as a shock that the road closure was occurring. This occurred over Christmas this year when it was advertised, as it has a profound impact on the lighthouse. We obviously made representations to the members in council, other than the councillors, about our position. We note that Lot 330 is owned by the City of Bunbury, and it is wishing to dispose of it, as you're all aware. And it has recently entered into a contract for that purpose. The City of Bunbury is now facilitating the road closure, so you are actually wishing to close it. So you own the lot, and you wish to close the road reserve which adjoins our property. Obviously, this is a conflict of interest, so you have to be very careful. You own the property and you are taking the road closure that has an impact on the adjoining owner, which is us. We've looked at your procedures that you've done to do the road closure, and I've had legal opinion about that to see whether you've followed your procedures. We believe, and our lawyers believe, you have not followed your procedures. The city website details the application information and the process of road closures. The city form entitled Close of Public Road Closures say the agreement to the proposed road closure and amalgamation is required in writing from all adjoining owners shown in the respective titles of each property. We are an adjoining owner and we do not agree with the road closure. This is required prior to the advertisement. So I only was aware of the advertisement over the Christmas New Year. It's a strange time to advertise, but that's the time it was. Luckily, some members of staff told me about it. But it appears that that hasn't occurred. So we want to confirm we're opposed to it. I think all councillors should be aware of that. And we reserve the right to seek legal action if you, next week, propose to close the road. I think that you need to look a little bit more about what's going on. So let's go to the appendixes. So you've got the appendix that you should have about the closures. We've obviously put some things there that we thought were unreasonable. The first one was about the process. The second one is that we actually have always wanted to purchase the road closure. Now this goes back many years, and in fact I have actually looked into the dates that this occurred. So on the 30th of June 2015, I met with Mayor Brennan, who may well remember, with Mr Bryan, the previous CEO, and with my cousin Brian Benari, and we discussed purchasing the road closure. The council was quite happy for us to purchase the road closure because we were going to spend more money producing more accommodation and more tourism dollars for the City of Bunbury. So we then discussed it again on the 27th of July 2015 and also on the 22nd of January 2020. So these are all documented visits. So we have shown an interest in the purchase. We were told repeatedly not to make an application. Lot 330 needs to be sold. Then we may make an application and ask the City of Bunbury to purchase the property, the adjoining closed road. Clearly it was a shock to suddenly see the City of Bunbury had just decided to sell it, purchase it itself, and then on-sell it to a developer. This obviously worried us a great deal. Now this has a huge impact on our business because of our visual views to the ocean will be obliterated for quite a large part of the building. This will obviously devalue our property and we will lose many millions of dollars. This is an action that the council is taking. So we think that that needs to be thought through and thought very carefully about. The next thing after that, and obviously we would love to purchase it, is to talk about the purchaser. Now I need 5 more minutes. Is that possible, Mayor?
If I get a motion to that
Proposed
effect,
Move that
Councillor
the
Hayward,
speaker be
seconder.
extended.
Councillor Giles, all in favour?
Thank you very
So
much.
you have another 5 minutes.
5 minutes and I'll let you then digest everything. Now, I don't think the council really wants to sell the road closure. It was quite happy for us to purchase it. I really believe that. But what's happened is the developer has come to the council and said, we'll buy this land, 7,500 square metres, which is fantastic, and I'm very happy that the council's got a developer to buy it. But suddenly they want another 1,500 square metres to within 2 metres of our border to build a building on top of us. I can't understand why, but I can in a way because they obviously want to damage our business. They are going to be a hotel and they clearly want to be the premium hotel and to make the lighthouse less attractive. This is the guy who's doing it, Martin Barnes. You should all know him. He's on the internet. You can have a look at him anytime you want. He's the managing director of Barnes Capital Projects. This is the property that you're selling. Now, Mr. Barnes is headquartered in Dubai and Melbourne. He has history. He was the director of PE Capital Fund, which was placed in receivership and liquidation by ASIC on the 22nd of March 2019. This is all recorded, and you can see with ASIC what's happening. It's now been wound up. Mr. Barnes also is the Managing Director of Barnes Capital Projects. This is
Mr. Burns, let me interrupt you. Please restrict your comments to the road closure. This is a public meeting and it's live screened.
What I'm telling
Keep
you
your
is all
comments,
recorded.
listen, excuse me, keep your comments to the road closure and nothing else. I just advise you to do that.
It's difficult to ignore who's purchasing it. But if the Mayor doesn't want to talk about the purchaser, I'm happy to talk to the media about the purchaser. I'm happy to then to present it in that way. But I'd rather tell the councillors, if I can, Mayor. And then you can make your own decision.
We are dealing with the road closure here, nothing else.
It's implicated in the road closure.
I'm not debating with you, I'm just advising you. Carry on, you've got 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
So I think, unfortunately, I can't talk about Mr. Barnes, and I can't talk about all the hotels that have collapsed under him in the last 4 months. But you should read it. It's all on the internet. Now, unfortunately, the council's going to go ahead with the road closure. This sale that is potentially probably will never happen. But of course, the lighthouse will be damaged forever, because that road closure will become amalgamated in Lot 330. I have invested so much money, I cannot let it go. I cannot just let the council whitewash it, especially what I know, which I'm not allowed to tell you, but I think you should find out. And I'm only reporting stuff that is reported. I'm not giving you hearsay. I don't think I can say anything else. I'm obviously disappointed that we've never given the option to purchase the road closure. Have said that in 2015 we wished to purchase the road closure, and we have documented evidence of that. And we were told not to make an application, we were told not to until Lot 330 had been sold. Now, I cannot believe the council wanted to sell the road closure. Well, obviously it can't sell it, it's the state government that sells it, but would make the process occur. I don't understand. The council would not do that because it must worry about its own ratepayers, who we are one of, who we invest a lot. So I can only assume that the purchaser has encouraged the council to sell the road closure, has insisted it to sell the road closure. It would not be a council decision. The council does not need to sell the road closure. That development will go ahead. They've got 7,500 square metres of elevated oceanfront land. They do not need the road closure. So I hope you consider that. I think you should look at who the purchaser is, because the council may end up with a lot of trouble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, Mayor, please?
Councillor McCleary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could we have the executive planning to just recap on the legal process that went through with this block, because there has been a lot of information put out tonight that I feel that we need to know what the city has done, what the process has been, and also is there any written letter that actually says that the lighthouse were refused to purchase or had an offer in? So I have those two questions, please, answered. Thank you.
So I'll abbreviate the first question. CEO, can you confirm with the council that due process was followed in accordance with the legislation regarding this proposed road closure?
Through Mr Mayor, the agenda item details some of the specific processes that the city needs to undertake, and we believe we have followed Section 58 of the Land Administration Act.
Thank you. And the second part of Councillor McCleary's question was, do you recall, or do the officers recall, any letters or correspondence to council about the proposal to purchase that right-of-way prior to this matter being raised?
through, I might check, I'm not personally aware, I'll check with probably the manager if Mrs Anderson can address that, please.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I believe Mr Burns indicated it was the previous CEO that he had conversations with, so I am not aware of anything myself.
Are you, through the CEO, are you aware of any correspondence or emails from the owners of the lighthouse to indicate their interest in buying that right of way?
I'm not familiar, no sir.
Okay, thank you. Can I have someone move the executive
Sorry,
recommendation?
sir, can I have a question also, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just on following on Councillor McCleary's question, does that obviously their notes on file would maybe or may not be available through records?
Well, Mrs Anderson has indicated she's not aware, but unless there's an extensive search done.
And did we get any legal advice given that if there is a complication for existing landowner, a considerable one, against injurious affection, I think it's called?
CEO?
Through Mr Mayor, the decision to consider closing a portion of Carey Street was initially raised at a joint venture committee meeting. So the joint venture comprises the City of Bunbury and the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, and Lot 330 is under the control of the joint venture. So that's the first section. When we went through a process of potential disposal of Lot 330, the preferred, or what was seen to be the most desirable development on that site was put forward, and as part of that process there was a request made to consider whether part of the road reserve, and remember this is only part of the road reserve as per Appendix DSC 8, to be closed and then considered as part of the, to be amalgamated with Lot 330. The joint venture panel agreed that was a reasonable outcome, acknowledging that the road closure process had to occur in accordance with the Act, and that's the process that we've undertaken.
Thank you. Was there a question over here? Councillor Plum.
Oh, sorry, if I may, Mr Mayor, just with point 2, states there agrees to close a portion of Carey Street. Are we making the final decision tonight, or will this be referred to the Department of Planning to make their final decision?
Be referred to the department as a state government owned asset.
Sure. Does that need to be reflected in the wording in point 2?
No, we understand that.
Okay.
Further question, Councillor Smith?
Mr Mayor, am I able to ask a question to Dr Burns, please?
No.
No? Thank you.
You can ask a question to me.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Further questions? Can I have someone move the executive recommendation? Councillor McCleary, seconder. Councillor Kozisek. Councillor Cleary. Councillor Kozisek. Speaker against? I'll put it all in favour, please indicate. Those against? Sorry, Councillor Yip?
Against, thank you.
3 against. So Councillor Yip, Steck and Smith are against, the rest are for. So we move forward. Thank you. I think we're now going to, yes, can I also move we go behind closed doors to this confidential matter, please? Councillor Giles, Councillor Plum, all in favour?
Yes.
That's carried unanimously, thank you. Councillor Yip, sorry ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to leave us now. We're dealing with a confidential tender matter. Councillor Yip,
Okay, thanks everyone.
bye.